right. Good morning, everybody. So this project is going to be a little bit lengthy for us, and this is definitely going to be for my older students. I do this one with third-ish grade. I've gone down to second grade sometimes working on this with them, and certainly you can do this with fourth, fifth graders that you've got at home. And even if you've got some middle school students who want to participate, because we are going to create optical illusions today. And these are really kind of fun, and they do take up a little bit of time for the student to work on and to complete it. When I work on this project with the kids, I give them quite a few weeks to work on them. Of course, when I see my students, I'm seeing them only once a week for 40 minutes a week. So you can imagine how long it takes us to get our work done. But we are going to work on this. I'm going to show you everything that you need in order to complete it. And they can kind of keep coming back and forth and working on it in between all of the other work that they've got to do. Now, when I work on this with the kids and we start drawing them, you're going to create a grid, first of all, with them. So you will need some kind of a straight edge. If you've got a ruler, that's going to work out even better because you're going to know your measurements on the grid. It's going to be nice and even for you. And then when we go to color it, what we do is we work on our complementary colors. And our complementary colors, I've already taught them color wheel by the time we're working on this. And these are colors that are all opposites of each other on the color wheel. And it kind of makes our shapes pop in these optical illusions. So let me just show you a couple of examples. So this is one of our optical illusions, as it were. I've created our grid. I've drawn our shapes in there, and then we've colored it in with complementary colors, this pair being, of course, the yellow and the purple. And when we start coloring them with the opposite colors, it creates this really cool effect and pattern for the students. And this is just one way to do it. I give them the grid. Well, I don't give them the grid. They actually have to draw it just like you're going to as well. And then I tell them to draw about 5 shapes, different sizes, this one being right inside of each other. This is another one. And this is our other complementary pair, of course, being orange and blue. So these guys are found opposite each other on the color wheel. And when you use the complementary colors, it really makes the pair pop against each other. And whereas if I go to mix them together in a painting or something, you're going to get more of a neutral color, more toned down. Bless you, baby. So the other complementary pair, this is a picture that is not quite finished, and it would be red and green. And that is our other pair. So this is one that I've started. This is the one I kind of show them that is in process so that we can see how it's going to appear before us. And I do have some directions on there, which are, of course, showing up backwards for you. So I am aware that you are seeing it backwards and not able to read it. That is okay. It's not a big deal. I just have it slapped on there from when the kids saw it with me. So let's get started so you can kind of see everything that we're going to do. And I'm going to put this right here. All right, so you're going to have a piece of paper. If you've got markers, this turns out brighter, obviously, and you've got a little bit more of a, popping effect. If you don't have markers, don't worry about it. Just use, color pencils, crayons, whatever kind of coloring material you have at the house. We are going to start this with a pencil so that you can erase anything you need to. And I've got my ruler. Use whatever paper you have. If you've got drawing paper, great. If you've just got some scrap paper that you want to doodle on the back of, that's fine too. So what I do to teach the kids about measurements and how to create these straight lines is we start at the top, whether you want it to be horizontal or vertical, it's fine, whatever you want your top. I'm starting with a horizontal. And we created inch squares. These squares are actually 1 inch by 1 inch. And as I used the marker, they got, just slightly bigger than an inch because of the marker. That's not a big deal. But I'm going to place my ruler at the top. The one thing I tell the kids is to make sure you're holding it nice and still in the center. Make sure your fingers are not over it. We as adults know this. Students sometimes don't. And then right along the top, I'm going to make my, I keep grabbing that stupid broken pencil. No, I have not sharpened that one yet. It's been sitting there for days. Just a little tick mark at my 1 inch. Now I'm going to go through and do this rather quickly so that you can see, because this one is probably going to be a fairly long video. And obviously I don't have to make a tick mark at the 12 inch because my paper is exactly 12. So there I've got these tiny little tick marks in. Woo. Just realized I drew that on the back of another project. Oh, losing our minds in quarantine. Good thing Mrs. Mims knows how to draw fast. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I tell the kids it's a lot easier if you flip your paper. Go ahead and do that. If you're really good with your drawing skills, you don't have to flip. It's not a big deal. But the younger the student is, I find that they have a little bit easier time if they keep measuring on the top. Whereas if they're measuring on the bottom, it doesn't seem to be as easy for them. And then what we do is we just start connecting our lines. Now I try and get them to do this so it's not super dark. We don't really want all the pencil lines, obviously, but we're also learning how to draw lines with rulers. So we give and take.
Hello.
Hello. And my own child's walking around with scissors in mid-cut. Give and take.
Bye-bye.
So we're going to connect these lines. Again, holding your ruler nice and still, making sure you can see both tick marks. And this is how we create a grid. Now, if you don't have a ruler where you're able to measure and get the perfect size square, it's not a big deal. You can kind of eyeball it if you find just a straight edge, a book, something that's going to be a little bit more stiff than just another sheet of paper. I just kind of eyeball it as you go. You can also make some tick marks to where you think you've got a decent sized grid and go from there. Use like a thumbnail and, okay, about a thumb's length, and make a mark. So you can use something that gives you a uniform type of measurement and make your marks and go right along and connect them as well. Use whatever is going to work for you. Not everybody has a ruler at the house, and that is okay. Not a big deal. You've got to make work whatever you have at this time. And obviously everyone is not running out to stores to buy craft supplies and buy art supplies, and that is just fine. All right, so you got half your grid done. You can do the same thing on the sides. Whatever side you did not do, make your 1 inch marks. Whatever you're using for your measurement. Now, unfortunately, the ruler I have here at the house has only 1 inch marks. The ones I have at school are those amazing ones with 1 inch on one side and centimeters on the other. And that is so much fun when the kids get confused. Let me tell you. Especially if they're working really quickly before I can get around and correct them. Oh my gosh. And they've decided to go ahead. Because I'll sit at my desk for a minute and I'll demonstrate, and then all of a sudden I get around and go, oh baby, you've got to flip your paper over or erase a whole bunch of stuff. And I try very hard to keep, make sure it says 1 inch, make sure it only has 12 on it. You're always going to have a couple. So I'm almost done here, so that we're able to kind of move along. And again, what I ask them to do is either create 5 shapes, So be thinking about that, whether you want 5. I got my own nails in my way. 5 different shapes, 5 of the same shape. If you want them to sit inside of each other, I give them a lot of choices when we come to this point in here. And that's what's great, because then we start to see a lot of the variety. The grid is where it was all uniform. They had to create it this way. Now with the shapes, we get much more variety. So whatever you want, especially whatever shape is going to be easiest for you. If you don't have something to trace, something that's, going to be more difficult. If you just want something nice and simple, so you're just sitting here drawing and feeling a little bit more relaxed, that's also fine as well. This one was a fun shape for me when I did this one as an example. I did not have circles to trace, so I used the grid to try and keep them all inside. And this one, I just, put a bunch of shapes wherever I wanted to, using the grid to help me keep them semi-uniform. So I just started drawing a bunch of shapes, and you can want your shapes to overlap each other, that's fine. Sometimes triangles are much easier for students to draw. Let's see, I've got what, 2, I'll make this a square-ish. So there we go, I just got a couple shapes in there. Now you're going to want to pick your complementary pair. So all of our complementary colors are created, like I said, in the color wheel. And as we're looking at them, you're going to want to find ones that work for you, ones that you really enjoy. And, hi, can I help you? Can you open this, please? Pause. So our complementary pairs are, once again, blue and orange. They are going to be red and green, and they are going to be yellow and purple. I had to stop and make myself. And you just grab those two. I'm going to use yellow and purple again, because purple is my favorite color. Just in case you didn't know that. And I tell them pick a square and just start coloring. Start right at the beginning. A lot of them like to go right into the shapes themselves, and that's where they kind of lose it. They'll lose their patterning. So for the first row, I try really hard to make them do just the pattern itself, making sure to color the whole square. Sometimes if they don't, they're not going to get the best one. Whether you want your first row to be all the way across the top or all the way down. But the kids really like to try and skip around. They want to see what the shape is going to start looking like. And when they do that, it's not going to work, because then they're going to see where they're going to start messing up, and it's just going to get all kinds of messy. So that's why I have this one, and I usually start working with them where they can see the shape. Now once you start getting to the shape, see this one I'll already have. My yellow moved right for me. Because this square is yellow, I can show you all a little bit. So I've got my yellow square here. So next to it will be purple. But I've got the start of this triangle. So where I've got another line, I'm going to change colors again. And this would be purple. Fortunately, I've done this a handful of times, so I don't use my place too often. Right above it would be yellow. And then there's that triangle switching again, so above it would be purple. And now you see how the shapes start to work, how they switch back and forth. And so your pattern will start to develop and you get this optical illusion type pattern depending on how you've decided to do it. So I hope you guys really like this one. I said it takes a little bit to kind of color it in, fill it in, finish it up, but it's the end result is really worth it. It's really bright. It's really colorful. It's fun. And let me know how they turn out. You can send me your finished ones. My students can send them to me through Class Dojo, and you can also send them to me through Twitter. My handle is Mrs. Mims and the number 1. Or send me some comments. Tell me something you'd like to see me do. Any ideas you have, any thoughts you have, you can send me in the comments down below. I'd like to hear from you guys. And I hope you're having fun with all the projects we're doing. So until the next time, I'll see you guys later. Take care. I love you all. Bye, friends.